Found out my fiancé plans to buy our dream home in his name only and now expects me to pay half the mortgage without any ownership rights. I, 29F, and my fiancé 30 male have been together for 10 years. We had a baby back in 2020 and I lost my job around the same time. Our lease to our apartment was up and my grandma offered for us to move in with her, so we did. We basically had our own little apartment rent-free. I had thrown the idea of going to school out there and everyone agreed it was a good idea. My fiancé paid for it and my grandma watched my baby while I went to class. I graduate this semester. I did part-time for a couple semesters. My fiancé has been making $90K a year for the past couple years and $70K when we first moved in. He's saved a good amount of money. We agreed to wait to get married until I finished school and we could buy a house together. We've been looking at houses more seriously for a past couple months and found one we both love. We started talking to a mortgage broker and that's when he dropped the bomb on it being him and only him on the mortgage and the deed. He said I wouldn't have anything to do with it. I didn't say anything in the meeting, but afterwards I told him I thought we were buying the house together and I'd pay half the mortgage. He said I would be paying half the mortgage but my name just wouldn't be on it. So I told him that would mean I'd have no right to the house and he said he knew? He said since he saved the 40% down that it's only fair that he has the rights to the house in case we end things. I told him if that's what he wants to do then I'm not paying for the mortgage. I said this isn't a partnership and if he just wants his own place fine, but I'm not paying for it. He called me a BTCH saying that he paid for everything for the past few years including my schooling. I told him I stayed home and watched our child so we didn't have to pay for daycare and that ended up saving us money since I would have been only able to work part-time. He said he didn't care and I need to pay for half since I already agreed to it. So Reddit ADA for refusing to pay the mortgage? ETA, originally we were supposed to move in with my grandma for a few months while we saved some money for renting a new place. I thought maybe it'd be a good idea to go to school so I'd make more money and we could potentially buy a place. My grandma said we should stay with her until I finish school so we can save up for a life together. My fiancé and I had agreed that we would be buying a house together. He paid for the schooling because we were getting married and my student loans would have been our problem, not just mine. He encouraged me to finish my education so we could give our child a better quality of life. Edit 2. For those of you saying him paying for my schooling would be more expensive than rent, my schooling in total costed $17,000. Across 5 years. That's $3,400 a year on average. Update 1. To those who weren't, I got to see a perspective of how my fiancé might be feeling, so thank you for that too. Although some of you were extremely misogynistic, to answer some questions, my grandma offered to give us a place to stay for a few months while I looked for a job and so we could save some money. This was the beginning of the lockdown and no one was sure what the job market would look like. I had brought up finishing my degree and my grandma offered to watch my baby while I was in class. My fiancé said he'd pay for it since we didn't have to pay for rent or daycare. He called it an investment in our future. I got a Pell Grant and a scholarship so he ended up only having to pay, on average, $3,400 a year for the schooling. If I wasn't going to school, my grandma didn't want us staying there long term. This was purely her trying to give us a leg up and help us in our future. She wouldn't have done so if she knew what my fiancé was going to do. She said this. For the update, I told my fiancé we needed to talk about this arrangement and I asked why he changed his mind all of a sudden. He said he worked hard for his money and didn't want to lose everything if we got divorced. I said that was fair, but he's now putting me in a position to lose everything if I have zero rights to the property. He said I didn't save up the money so the house should be his and is a loan until and unless I put down 40% also. I asked if he'd consider a prenup that would give him the 40% he put down and we'd split 50-50 the rest of the equity. I said this would protect the lump sum he put down while also giving me equity he'd be paying for. He said he'd have to think about it, but he doesn't like the idea of having to sell if we split. I said then he can get his own place that he can afford on his own if he doesn't want me on the title that badly. This one he could barely afford with just his income, not sure if he'd even be approved for the mortgage on his own TBH. I also mentioned that I wanted to do couples therapy before we get married. He said no. That we didn't need therapy and I just needed to listen to him. That was the end of the conversation. I don't know who this person is. This is not the man I had a child with. The man I had a child with massaged me every night while I was pregnant. He listened attentively to every random thing I wanted to talk about. He treated me with the utmost respect. He was the only person I wanted with me while I gave birth. He used to say he could never hurt me or screw me over because it'd hurt our child. I love him so much. I don't know what happened. It's easy to be the breadwinner when you don't have to pay rent or daycare. I wonder if they helped Op's grandma out with utilities and the food bill for the last 4 years. Let him have his house, and let the relationship end. He's not talking like a partner. He's talking like an adversary. I wouldn't be shocked if this guy is trying to end the relationship with this stunt Op. I'm sorry you are hurting right now. You gave a completely valid compromise on a prenup. Wouldn't even accept relationship counseling? Not okay. He wants access to your money, your support system while giving you no security. You deserve better. Stay with your gran and start saving for yourself. If the relationship ends, file for child support. Your child deserves to be provided for. Op, you need to run. This can get very dangerous very fast. This man is desperately trying to overpower and control every aspect of your life. It starts with it being his house, then it's his money, his child, and you're nothing. I don't want to scare you, but it feels as though he baby trapped you. Meaning even if you decide to leave him, you'll be tied by the child you share. He doesn't want to do therapy because he is aware of his behavior. He knows what he's doing. The therapist will know his true intentions and expose them. He's trying to gaslight you into thinking he's not being abusive. Please get separate accounts and stay at your grandmother's place until you can get a place away from him. Oop, we do have separate accounts thankfully. He'll have zero access to my money once I start my job in a couple weeks. Update 2. Thank you to everyone who commented on my last post. You've shown me I'm not alone in this and that other people have gone through the same. I also feel vindicated in my decision to not pay half the mortgage if I'm not on the deed, thank you. Anyways, tonight he and I got to talking about the arrangement again. He said he didn't want to do the prenup I mentioned in my last update. So I told him my final offer was couples therapy and getting married before we buy a house. I told him we should get a rental temporarily until we figure everything out and come to an agreement. He outright refused, again. He said he didn't want to waste money renting. He then said I'm not entitled to any of his money and he won't buy a house after we marry because I'll just win it in a divorce. I said fine, we won't get married. He asked if I was breaking up with him and I said I didn't know, but I needed space. He lost it. Called me a BTCH and a gold digger and told me I owe him $30,000. I don't know where he got this number from. He said I'm used up and no one will ever want me again. He went on ranting, yelling at me, for about 3 minutes until my grandma came over to us and told him to leave. He's staying the night at a hotel and has called me repeatedly. He's left a few angry voicemails. I feel so numb. My baby is confused and keeps asking why I'm upset and where their dad went. I hate this so much. To everyone who mentioned he might have gotten in with the manosphere/red pill content, you were right. I looked at who he's subscribed to on YouTube. Sure enough I saw Joe Rogan, Fresh and Fit Podcast, Just Pearly Things, and A. Dean Ross. Safe to say he's fallen down the manosphere rabbit hole. I know the man I fell in love with is gone and there's nothing I can do about it. There were definitely signs I didn't notice. He always said he was saving his money, and he was buying a house. He also said, on more than one occasion, he was the man of the house. He got really big on being a provider and protector. I didn't put it all together until now. His behavior change has been pretty recently, like the last 8 to 9 months. That's it. My life is a shit show. Writing it out has been somewhat therapeutic. Update 3. I've had a lot of people reach out and ask for an update, so here it is. A few days after my last update he texted me and asked if we could meet to talk. I agreed and left my kid with my grandma and met him at a coffee shop. He started with an apology and went on about how that wasn't him and he's a good guy, he just drank too much and lost control. He asked me if I wanted to get married still and I said no. He asked if he could move back in so we could work on things and I said no. He even offered to do couples therapy and I said I'd have to think about it. He got quiet and asked if I ever even loved him. I said I did, but I can't handle the whole woe is me thing he's been doing. I said I would have never tried to screw him over in the case of a divorce and that if I didn't love him I would have never had a kid with him. I said he needs to do individual therapy before I'd consider doing couples therapy with him. He got angry and yelled that I needed therapy more than he did and he refused to do it without me. He got up and said he's going to take me to court and fight for full custody and that I'd never see a dime from him. I'm assuming he meant child support. Since then he tried dropping by unannounced to take our kid. My grandma's lawyer friend, technically her friend's son, told me that since we don't have a custody agreement in place it's a free-for-all and he could legally take him across state lines. He said it can be much more difficult to get him back especially if we don't know where he is. So I didn't let him take our kid but said he's welcome to come visit but he's not leaving with him until we have a custody arrangement in place. That ended about as well as you could imagine. My grandma told me I can stay as long as I need and I got my kids signed up for daycare. That's all for now. I'm hoping we can find an arrangement without courts but we'll see. Update 4. First, thank you again for all the support and stories, some heartbreaking, but many gave me much needed strength. I haven't posted for a bit because things have been a lot. In good news, I officially graduated last week. I walked across the stage, my grandma cried, and even my kid clapped for me, and I start my new job Monday. My bosses are really supportive and arranged for a gradual start so I could get daycare transitions and legal stuff sorted out for my son. You might guess things with my fiancé have reached a weird, combative phase. 2 days after my last update, he showed up again, this time at my work orientation to see our child, even though he knows where we live. He pestered the front desk, and when I came out he tried to guilt me in front of coworkers about letting him take our son for Father's Day weekend. My work friends are the best, one even came outside with me, all hey buddy, you should communicate through a family lawyer. She's got my back. Anyway, that's when things escalated. After more yelling, in public, this time, I started getting texts from his mother, the longest, most guilt-tripping messages you can imagine. She says I'm breaking up the family and denying her only grandchild his paternal heritage. She asked if I do drugs, and if my new boyfriend put me up to this. Spoiler, I don't have one. The only man I interact with regularly is our HVAC repair guy. At home, things feel so fragile but somehow hopeful. My grandma is increasingly protective. She told my ex to leave her girls alone, and started screen capping all his messages. For the record, she even put up a camera by our front door, She's not messing around. After I got those papers, I finally broke down and called his sister. We used to be close. She started crying, said she's so sorry for everything, and that her brother's been different since getting obsessed with podcasts, to the point where the family had an intervention last month. She says he stopped talking to their dad over power and submission stuff he heard online. I honestly mourned for a while after hearing that, like he's been replaced by a pod person. In a bizarre move, 2 days ago he emailed me a settlement proposal. I hand over primary custody, he gets the house deposit back, I promise to never malign his reputation to our child or the internet, and in exchange he'll drop his claim for back pay and support my co-parenting with his future wife. Yeah, he's already seeing someone else, a mutual friend I found out about through Facebook. She's big on MLMs. I wish her luck, so here's where the new me comes in. I feel strong enough now to say no to everything that doesn't serve my or my son's well-being. I'm working, my kid loves his teacher, and my grandma and I bake cookies every Saturday. I talked with my lawyer and we're counterfiling for legal custody, child support, and a set visitation schedule. Apparently, his emails and unhinged texts, and not showing up to daycare once, ever, while I worked and went to school, looked terrible for him. Twice in the past 2 weeks, he's tried to explain himself. First by sending me an 11-page Google Doc, equal parts apology and rant about why women's expectations destroy families. I did not read it all, then by slipstreaming back into my DMs with "you'll never find another provider like me," and later, "at least let me take our son fishing." I said visitation can go through the proper schedule. For the first time, he didn't rage, just typed "you are cold" and left it at that. My son is picking up on the change. He told our neighbor I'm his best mom ever who always lets him mix muffin batter, and today randomly hugged me out of nowhere. I have anxiety, yes. But also relief. The only hiccup, he showed up at my graduation with flowers, then, seeing us together and happy, left before we saw him. My cousin saw him drive off. That brought a weird tinge of sadness, but I'm trying not to dwell. Right now the most dramatic thing in my life should be whether or not my pothos plant finally grows a second leaf. We have a long road of hearings and negotiations ahead, but I feel more hope than I have in literally years. People told me to trust actions, not words. The past 3 months have shown me exactly who my ex is, and who I am without him. My story isn't what I planned, but it might still have a happy ending. I'll update if there's another major development. But for the first time, I'm focusing on building the life I want for me and my son. Update 5. So, the saying goes it never rains but it pours, and my life's weather lately is full-on hurricane season. If you'd told me even 3 months ago that I'd be Googling subpoena etiquette and sleeping easy at night, I wouldn't have believed you. I guess I'm still getting used to the new normal, because it's both mundane and off the rails in equal measure. First, legal progress. My lawyer is a magician. We had the preliminary custody hearing. I was a wreck, tapping my pen, clutching a folder with every text and screenshot and angry voicemail, convinced the judge would see through me and decide small-town single moms are suspect by default. But my lawyer did exactly what she promised: read the records, asked calm questions, presented our routine, school drop-off, bath time, homemade granola bars, and never once wavered when his lawyer tried to paint me as deliberately estranging our son. They're big evidence. I withheld visitation after he showed up at daycare without notice, and a screenshot of me texting "stop yelling at me." Earth-shattering, right? Honestly, his side was a circus. He came in wearing an expensive suit and a scowl, with his hair gelled like a TikTok finance bro. He wouldn't even look at me. After his lawyer's opening, he tried to submit an emotional damages statement about how I destroyed his trust in women, and the judge cut him off. My grandma came for moral support and later said, "Did that fool really quote Jordan Peterson to a domestic judge?" He did, word for word.
Order proceeds chaos, Your Honor.
The judge did not look impressed. The judge issued a temporary arrangement, joint legal custody, child's primary residence with me, weekend visitations, no taking our son out of state until further review, and a stern warning that parenting is not a competitive sport. He has to pay child support per state guidelines. He rolled his eyes. My lawyer said, "Thank you, Your Honor," in that dangerously polite way. We go back in front of the court for a final determination in 3 months. I have documentation up to my eyebrows. We're ready. Oh, and the emails. In a feat of either brilliance or desperation, my ex submitted a parenting manifesto to the judge ahead of the hearing, a mashup of rambling grievances, links to a podcast about male awakening, and a values contract he wanted me to sign that would pre-approve all my future relationships so no new male influences would destabilize our son. The judge's clerk actually smirked reading that one. Meanwhile, there's been a new player, my ex's girlfriend. Let's call her Jen, because that is actually her very real first name, and if you knew the full story you'd know why she doesn't deserve internet anonymity. Jen decided to reach out as a mom via Facebook Messenger. Her opener: "I hope you're ready for big changes because X deserves his son and a real family." 3 scrolls down, she was shaming me for not being open to blended family activities. My response: "Your relationship with him is your business, not mine or our son's. Please take care." The next day, she posted a video of herself with our son's photo in the background and hashtagged it #bonusmom. In case the universe was wondering, yes, my block game is on point. And the house? Remember how he was hell-bent on buying without me, keeping everything in his name, etc.? Well, the house fell through. He submitted the down payment, but apparently forgot about several debts and got denied for the mortgage after the underwriters called his employer and pulled his credit report. He sent me a sulky 4-sentence message: "Guess karma's real. Hope you like living with her grandma forever." I did a little dance in the kitchen with my son, a move he called Mommy's pancake victory hop. We're working on choreography. Work has been the least dramatic, bless. I started the job, and it's been light years better than I imagined: collaborative, flexible, and respectful. My boss clued in after seeing X's pop-up visit and quietly let security know my ex might be unpredictable. My coworkers organize Friday lunches and actually show up at court for the moral support squad. I feel more seen and respected than I have in years. The star of the show, as always, is my grandma. She's got an FBI-level records folder on my ex, is plotting out her fall garden for the little guy, and has unofficially adopted my best friend as her granddaughter in arms. She helps with pick-up and drop-off, child and emotional, and last Sunday taught my son to make cinnamon swirl bread. He woke up the next day asking, "Can we make food for the whole world?" Which made me cry quietly into my coffee. The biggest shift, honestly, is internal. I'm not trying to patch the shipwreck anymore. I don't apologize for existing. If I'm tired, I sleep. If I'm overwhelmed, I say so. My son knows I'll always come back at the end of every day, and that grandma will always have a cookie tin with his initials on it. For the curious, no real drama at drop-offs. My ex is sullen, sometimes tries to give me parenting notes from his latest podcast, sometimes just hands over our son and leaves. I take notes, stay factual, don't engage. My son is adjusting. Sometimes at night he asks, "Why isn't Daddy living here anymore?" And I say, "Daddy lives in his own place, but we both love you so much." He seems to accept this. His last artwork was a picture of me, him, and Grandma building a giant gingerbread house, and it made me realize the home we're building isn't what I once pictured, but it's sturdy, safe, and so full of love. Sometimes, late at night, I grieve the story I thought I'd have. But then my son snores from his little bed, and I remember the next chapter is mine to write. I'm updating now because I see the sunrise from my window and realize for the first time in ages, I'm not scared of the day ahead. Not even a little. Update 6. Let's start with the most surreal twist. My ex apparently wants to pivot to the suddenly involved dad role. After the failed house fiasco, he'd been sullen, almost ghost-like at pickups. Think Guy Fieri auditioning for a stoic philosopher role, full of cryptic one-sentence advice and zero warmth. But about 2 weeks ago, out of nowhere, he comes to pick up our son in, get this, a used minivan wrapped with a decal for Jen's essential oil MLM. Lavender calms the spirit, the minivan says, which is ironic, because I smelled burning rubber and resentment. He's acting chipper? Not quite friendly, but trying. "Hey, our son, next week we're going to Dad's house and learning how to fish." Our son, who previously thought all fishing rods were lightsabers, is suspicious. "Does Grandma come too?" QX's crocodile smile. "No, buddy, this is Dad time. Maybe one day Jen will, she's really good at this stuff." My son whispers to me, "I want Grandma to come too." Me, "We'll talk about it." I later learned from his sister that post-house rejection and court clownery, he's gone full reinvent myself, posting #motivated videos about parental rights in a private Facebook group, and doing vlogs with Jen coaching him. I know, because a coworker sent me a screen recording. In one, I'm the ex who stole his family's legacy. I laugh so loudly at his Walmart Rogan commentary that I catch Grandma's attention, and she storms over waving her iPad demanding, "Why is this woman calling you the greatest trial God ever sent her?" That's Jen. For the record, it's awkward, but I'm grateful, because now I just keep an archive of every new clip for my lawyer. She's delighted, says I'm one exhibit away from needing a spreadsheet. He is, in short, giving us enough documentation to install a revolving door at family court. But that's not all. The emotional seesaw hits again mid-month, when my ex's mother, remember the drama llama, emails my lawyer a character letter. In it, she apologizes for earlier messages, admits she's been swept up in the online parent-influencer thing, and asks for a chance to see her grandchild peacefully, ideally supervised by either me or Grandma. We agree. She visits, brings dinosaur cookies, and my son is honestly happy. We have tea, and she admits, "I don't know what's wrong with my son, but I know it's not your fault." Cue a little closure for me, and a new potential babysitter for cider making season. Meanwhile, work lets me spearhead a small project, and one of the HR folks slyly links me up with a local therapist, just in case you ever need a referral. It's on us. I take them up on it, and, for the first time since this mess exploded, spend a 50-minute therapy session not talking about X. I talk about me. My goals. Upcoming birthday plans for my son, Space Dinosaurs theme. My office is already threatening to sponsor a moon bounce. The session ends and I walk out smiling, not crying. Court is back in session. This time, X brings Jen as moral support, though the judge tells her, politely but firmly, that non-parents don't get to speak. X presents a family vision plan, hand-drawn diagrams and a spreadsheet of ideal parent roles, with my column literally left blank except for does not do enough enrichment activities. My lawyer clears her throat and quietly hands the judge screenshots of all the bonus mom rhetoric on Facebook, plus a transcript of his latest rant about loopholes in maternal custody law. The judge ticks off boxes, rules that, surprise, I retain primary custody, he retains visitation, and that online commentary about one another will cease, or else. QX muttering about cancel culture in family court. Jen storms out, tripping over her own oversized bag. My lawyer has never looked so satisfied. Here's the weirdest part, the next weekend at pickup, X doesn't scowl, he just sits on the porch, helps my son buckle into his car seat, and tells me, look, I might not get what I want here. But he's our son. I know you love him. I'm going to try to do better. I say, I know. That's all we can do. Neither of us cries. It's just tired, real, adult. Life, against all predictions, is calm. I'm still living with grandma, but now it feels like 3 generations building something new. Job, legal victories, preschool field trips, secret cinnamon rolls for breakfast. My pothos sprouted its second leaf. Our son performed a dance at daycare and invited both me and grandma. X shows up too, sits in the back, nods, claps, then leaves quietly. A few nights ago, I caught my son and grandma building an elaborate pillow fort, and he announced, "This is our family castle. You, me, and grandma are the rulers." I almost started crying right there on the rug. I realized that our happy ending is different. It's a little messier, takes some stitches, but the seams are stronger than I ever imagined. I'm still in court, yes. Still saving receipts, still fielding the occasional weird text from Jen. But mostly, I'm living, really living. I'm building new traditions. I'm seeing my little one thrive, and my own roots grow stronger every day. If my ex actually follows through, on growth, on being a good dad, I'll count that as a win. If not, well, the world's got enough lavender minivans already. Thank you all for the support, validation, encouragement, memes, and solidarity. If anything truly wild happens, or if the pothos blooms, I'll report back. For now, I'm going to bake ginger snaps with grandma, help my son draw rocket treks, and trust that the next storm, if it comes, can be weathered. Update 7: If you had told me last year that I'd learned to spot the vibe of an incoming meltdown by the subject line of an email, or that I'd spend my Friday nights alphabetizing Google Drive folders for court, I'd have said you were nuts. But here we are. The new normal is as much spreadsheets and slow cooker recipes as did Jen really just live stream from the courthouse parking lot? Yes she did. But that's only a small part of what's happened, and, honestly, this is the first time the chaos has felt, dare I say, almost comical. First, the court stuff, which, weirdly, is not the juicy headline this time. We finally had our final court date for custody and child support. I use quotes because, if you read my saga, you know final is a relative term. My ex actually showed up early. He'd come alone, no Jen, no drama, just carrying a giant binder, the spine said parent rights, evidence. Maybe he's watched too many law shows, or maybe he thinks it's a Hogwarts spellbook, I don't know. Whatever it was, he was level. Weirdly quiet. The hearing was, as my lawyer whispered, almost boring. The judge commended us for managing exchanges peacefully, confirmed the existing arrangement. I have primary custody, he gets weekends/every other holiday, child support per guidelines, no unsupervised out-of-state travel, and reminded X that any disparaging remarks about the other parent, online, offline, or at extracurriculars, will penalize your access, not hers. The online reminder was pointed. I could see X clenching his highlighted notes. Here's the kicker: the judge suggested we try a 6-month mediation review instead of another full trial, giving X a window to demonstrate consistent, appropriate involvement. My lawyer thought it was fair. I agreed, honestly relieved at the decrease in legal bills. X signed with only a sigh. When we left, he briskly told me, "I'm not happy, but I'm trying." And he actually held the door for someone else on the way out. Small miracles? But on to real-life stuff, which, for once, is juicier, funnier, and more WTF than the slow march of family law. The week after court, my grandma let slip that Jen had sent her a DM. And by DM, I mean a 6-paragraph essay on how good matriarchs support blended family healing, plus a pitch for joining the Lunar Oil's business opportunity. Grandma passed the message along to my lawyer, because you never know with these people, honey, but then, her best move, just left it on read and blocked Jen. Apparently, there was also a group text attempted between me, Jen, and X's mother about Galentine's dinner for co-parents, which is how I learned X's mom also blocked Jen after getting a series of unsolicited vibe check bitmojis. The new power trio, me, grandma, X's mom, all exchanging memes of weird MLM graphics. Progress, I guess? Meanwhile, X seems to be backpedaling on his provider influencer thing. He deleted his main Facebook and, according to his sister, is trying to get his real estate license. From what I hear, he now spends visitation weekends rearranging toy dinosaurs with our kid, grilling hot dogs, and occasionally, per son's report, teaching me about credit scores. So, that's something. When he drops him off, he actually makes direct eye contact, says see you Tuesday, and does not try to hand over a spreadsheet or podcast link. This might sound small, but after so many months of escalation, it feels peaceful, even if it is awkward and weird. But the absolute wildest new development? My son, the 4¾ king of awkward questions, got invited to his first real birthday party. It was at a local trampoline park, and X brought Jen, Dad's friend who likes oils, as his +1. At first, I braced myself for the world's most awkward snack table, but it was, oddly, drama-free. Jen, possibly recognizing I'm not joining her downline, barely nodded at me and spent the party manifesting energy on her phone in a corner. X and I helped our son with the foam pit, shared tired laughs about how loud the place was, and, when there was a small scuffle over who got the blue trampoline, both agreed on the solution: you can both jump. Teamwork. We might never have agreed on a mortgage, but at least we're united on bounce house diplomacy. Work is going well. My big project got a shout out at the department meeting, and my team got me a novelty mug that says, licensed to parent and caffeinate. In the evenings, life is delightfully mundane: bedtime stories, early morning pancake making, and, yes, the triumphant sprouting of my pothos's third and fourth leaves. Green thumb status, officially unlocked, but the best part? This newfound feeling that I'm actually okay. We are okay. Our home, it's not the dream house with an open floor plan and breakfast nook I used to scroll on Zillow. It's cozier and messier, with dog-eared library books, glitter under the couch, and a kitchen that smells like cinnamon and crayon wax. It's laughter and learning and, sometimes, sleepy arguments about whether we can add marshmallows to everything. Grandma and I sit with tea most evenings, looking out at her garden and marveling at how far we've come, not just through drama, but through deep, sometimes bone-cracking change. My therapist, yes, I kept up with the sessions, remarked last week that I'm starting to sound like I trust my own decisions. That I've stopped narrating my choices as if someone else was in the driver's seat. I think she's right. I finally Googled how to start building credit on your own, and am socking away bits of each paycheck, not for a house now, but for whatever comes next, maybe travel, maybe schooling, maybe a rainy day fund to pay it forward when someone I love is reeling. If this sounds like a sappy sitcom ending, well, sometimes I think my story has to be scripted. But it's real, we're living, not just surviving. My son sleeps peacefully at night, no longer waking up to whispered adult arguments. Our life is small but joyful and, after all the noise, I wouldn't trade it for any other. For anyone out there in a storm, you don't have to rebuild his house, or anyone's but your own, even if you start with one potted plant and a borrowed kitchen. Even if you're scared. Even if you never expected to be here. Sometimes the happy ending is just getting your breath back and realizing you're still here, still whole, still ready for whatever tomorrow brings.